What's going on, everybody? It is Overreaction Time once again. I am your host, Simon Samano. And with me this week, it's been a while since we had him. He was on that midnight train to Georgia last week, spent the week in the ATL, but here he is with us now on ORT. It is none other than Danny Segura. Danny, what's good, man? How was the week in Atlanta?
Good. It was a fun fight. It was a fun event to cover. I know there was some boring fights, but overall there were a lot of storylines that were very interesting, and yeah, I enjoyed being on the road. So overall, a good weekend.
Lots of storylines that were interesting, which we will touch on some of those storylines naturally. So you ready to get this thing popping?
I'm ready.
All right, Kamikaze, you know what time it is. Hit it.
I mean, guys, what are you fucking? Is this tonight's stupid question night? Are you guys that fucking stupid? You can't be that fucking stupid. Who gives a shit? One of the dumbest things I've ever read in my life. Fucking common sense. Everybody knows that.
All right, Danny, here we go. Let's get it started at the very top of the card at UFC on ESPN 69, otherwise known as UFC Atlanta, where former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman came back and made a dominant statement by beating Joaquin Buckley over the course of 5 rounds. Really, the fight was never even that close, and I really got to give props to Usman in that regard. But Danny, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with this, and let's see what you think here when I say it. Kamaru Usman is still not a serious threat to win the welterweight title.
I think that's an overreaction.
I don't, but go ahead.
An overreaction. Look, he's certainly there's a lot going on at welterweight, right? And it's going to be tough for anyone to get the belt just because of how much competition is out there. But you do have to consider him among the best. Look, everybody knows how high I was on Joaquin Buckley in the last few fights, and I've been saying, yo, this guy's going to make it to the top. And slowly but surely, he's been rising. I thought Joaquin Buckley was going to get a TKO finish here, and I was shocked watching cage side Kamaru Usman just dominate him the way that he did. So I don't think Kamaru is prime, but I do think he's fairly close to it still. With what's left, I do think he can beat a lot of the top 5 guys. Just like maybe Shafkat would be trouble, but like, I don't know, maybe he could probably beat Sean Brady. Maybe he could beat Ian Gary. I don't know. There are names up there that are solid that I'm comfortable right now saying that he can beat. So he's definitely a title contender.
One performance changed your mind. Interesting. It did not change my mind, and I'll tell you why. Listen, I'll give him all due respect and all due credit for this win against Joaquin Buckley, but I think what we saw in the fight is that, and I'm surprised by it, Joaquin Buckley simply was not ready for the wrestling. And the reason why I'm surprised by it is because you would have thought, since Colby Covington was his opponent just 6 months ago, he would have already had a training camp filled with wrestling, filled with getting ready to deal with takedowns, right? So I was shocked in that regard. And the reason why I'm saying I don't consider Usman a title contender really in this fight after this one performance is because look at what lies ahead for him. They are all younger guys who have wrestling backgrounds. If he's going to get a title shot, he's going to have to beat a Shavkat, or he's going to have to beat a Sean Brady, or he's going to have to beat a Bilal Muhammad, who's calling for that fight. Also a great wrestler. If he were to get a title shot against Jack Della Maddalena, JDM showed that he's got good takedown defense in the win against Bilal Muhammad. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, if this JDM Islam Makhachev fight happens, Islam Makhachev, we already know, is a wrestling beast who's younger and quicker. So really, you really think that he is a legit title contender?
I do. And look, I like his chances in the wrestling department against a lot of those guys. I think the problem is going to be the striking, because there's certainly strikers that are more refined than Joaquin Buckley. But being in person, look, I've seen Joaquin Buckley in person. The dude's huge, and the dude's extremely strong. I mean, he was fighting at 185, and he was a little bit undersized, but more or less he was competing, right? Like, he was picking up wins, and he was doing all right at 185. At 170, he's absolutely massive. And Kamaru Usman standing next to him just looked huge. And just being in person and just watching how dominant and how much he can impose his physical ability onto somebody that's already extremely strong. I think he could do that to a lot of people. I really do. I think his striking didn't look that great. I think those days where, he had developed a great jab and he was defending the title that way, gone. But he's still strong as shit, and he's still a very good wrestler, and that's enough to beat a lot of the top guys.
So you believe in Kamaru Usman and his knees?
I don't believe in his knees, but I believe in his will. I believe in his will. I asked him at the post-fight press conference because I'm like, well, you mentioned that, this past couple of years, you've just been rebuilding your body. Is it safe to say that you feel better now than you did in your championship days when you were fighting, constantly? And he's like, nothing, it's not safe to say. And, he definitely hinted that his body is not great, but there's just guys that can power through so many injuries that can just really sort of defy what normality is in terms of like physicality. And I think he wants his belt back really, really bad. And I think he doesn't have a fun time with his knees, but he's able to, will his way through it. And I'm telling you, he might be the best wrestler there at 170 right now.
All right, man. Well, listen, he's 38 years old. He's going to be a lot closer to 39 by the time he fights next.
That is true.
I mean, I just that's okay if he was fighting at heavyweight or light heavyweight where you can be older. But for me, dude, where you still need your speed and quickness and your knees and your body to be working for you, I don't know, man. I don't think this one performance has changed my mind. But it's all good. It's going to be compelling, though. It's going to be compelling seeing what happens with Kamaru Usman moving forward. And I guess that's a great thing coming out of this is let's see what the former champ still has in him, So, all right. Let's move on now to the co-main event, Danny, of UFC on ESPN 69, where Rose Namajunas. Dude, it was Veterans Day on Saturday, bro. We just had Memorial Day. It was Veterans Day. Rose Namajunas beats a younger fighter who was on the who was on the rise, and Miranda Maverick. She wins a unanimous decision. Pretty good fight. I know Miranda Maverick. She said, I think just a little yesterday that she suffered a torn ACL, so obviously that sort of hampered the performance a little bit, but I thought Rose still is looking pretty good and at the top of her game. That's just my assessment, which is why I'm going to hit you with this, Danny. Rose Namajunas is still a serious threat to win the women's flyweight title.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I actually think that Kamaru impressed more than Namajunas did on Saturday. I think more or less Rose...
I don't disagree with that.
Okay. I think Rose more or less kept the same standard, which is she's still a very good fighter, but I do think there's been a decline in her game. Can she beat Valentina? Look, I would have her as an underdog. I would have her as an underdog against Natalia Silva. And she already lost to Fiorot, and did she lose to Blanchfield as well? Yeah, right?
Yes, she did.
So it's tough. You can never count her out because she is so experienced, and in any given night, if she's able to really dig deep and reach into that experience, maybe there's something there. But I might like Usman's chances more of winning a belt than Namajunas at this point.
No way, man. It's too tough of a road for Usman. Here, look,
it is a tough road, but Usman has a name like none other in that card. Like he really, I think he can get a shortcut to the title fight, and I don't think he can win it, but I think he can definitely fight for a title.
Well, I think Rose could be one. She could be one win away. You never know. I mean, she definitely is loved by the UFC, right? And the UFC brass.
At most 2 wins, yeah.
At most 2, right? Because I'm thinking she already called and said she would love to fight either Natalia Silva or Alexa Grasso next, which would be great fights. You don't think she would stand a really good chance against Natalia Silva, or at least you would consider her the underdog. But if she were to fight Alexa Grasso next, I would consider her the favorite. Would you not?
Correct.
Yeah. So again, listen, you could get that matchup, win that fight, and then yes, I do think she would have to fight either Manon or Erin Blanchfield again, most likely to earn the title shot. Here's why I believe in Rose Namajunas. She's got that veteran savvy, and I think she would learn from both of those fights her shortcomings. I think she would learn from that and fight those fights differently. And I do think she has a chance. I would love to see her fight against Valentina Shevchenko. Would love it. Would absolutely love it. I think that would be a great fight. But anybody who's going to stand on the outside against her, which is kind of a lot of the girls that we just mentioned, that's what they would do. I think that plays into Rose's hands. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but like, for example, Blanchfield was able to wrestle her, and we saw
that would be tough.
Size advantage for Blanchfield, and I think that's what's kind of lacking for Rose, and something that's completely not lacking for Usman. Like Usman's the biggest guy there. So yeah, I'm still not 100% sold on Rose becoming champion at 125. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's looking tough. I think it's looking tough. So we'll see. But certainly, like a veteran like that, a former champion like that, you can never count him out. And I do think that it's worth at least giving her the opportunity to prove that. And I guess we'll find out in time.
All right. So not an overreaction, but you have your doubts.
Yeah. I disagree, but not an overreaction.
Okay. All right. Let's move on now, man, to one more thing I want to talk about from UFC Atlanta. And I'm gonna meet the overreaction with an overreaction, dude, because what the heck did we see happen in that Rodolfo Bellato fight and Paul Krieg? The Paul Krieg fight, dude. The up kick. Man, we've got the UFC broadcast team calling it an Oscar-winning performance. You go on social media, everyone is ripping this dude for his acting job, and he's been called an actor, and he's already come out and defended himself, man. I'm not buying it, though, dude. But let me tell you, though, even though I'm not buying it, I'm going to hit you with this right here, Danny. Don't hate Rodolfo Bellato. Hate the game. What do you mean by that? What do I mean by that? Right? What do I mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean by that. If a guy realizes in the moment that he has a chance to get out of a fight and potentially win half his purse, why would you blame him? That's what I'm saying.
I agree. What was bizarre to me is that he was winning the fight. Like it looked like Paul Craig was like, just on reverse, just trying to survive. And Bellato looked like he was growing in that fight. And it looked like the momentum was all going for Bellato. So it is weird that, people are claiming that he faked it. Also, we've seen, and it was mentioned on yesterday's episode of Spinning Backlick, that the brain does weird things. We've seen fighters fight for a few seconds after they get clipped and then get knocked down, like Shane Burgos, and there's been many other examples. Who knows, right? Like it's hard. But what I'll definitely say is that we don't know. For a fact, we don't know if he was acting or not, right? Like the only person that knows is Bellato. We can imply, we can suggest, but we don't know. What we do know is that Paul Craig illegally kicked him. It was deemed an illegal kick, and that's why the fight was over right then and there.
Why should he?
Why the hell do we go to a no contest? Paul Craig has how many fights in the UFC? He knows that's illegal, and it's not like they were in a scramble and then a leg just went flying and hit him. No, he just went back and kicked him. It was clearly an illegal kick, and that should have been a DQ for Paul Craig, and Bellato should have won that fight. It is absolutely ridiculous that we're keep telling like these accidental strikes when people are actually sending them intentionally. It is insane. I think the game really screwed Bellato here, and I think he's getting unfairly criticized. I think people should really be mad at the rule set. He got illegally kicked. He was winning the fight, and all of a sudden he finds himself with a no contest. It's bullshit.
Boy, it really makes you think, Danny, that somebody from the UFC was like, we're not giving that guy the second half of his purse. Call it a no contest, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, because
that falls under the commission, so I don't think that
I realize that, but dude, I realize that, bro. But like, come on, man. As you just made the point, that was a clear up kick. It wasn't accidental. There was nothing accidental about it. It was an up kick from bottom, caught him flush in the face. Now, do I think Bellato was completely acting? I think he was acting, bro. I mean, I 100% think he was acting.
Yeah.
He looked on the way down. On the way down, he looked at the referee like, "Oh, what's up, man?" And then lays there like he's flat laid out. And then, all the extra, like he's trying to wrestle the referee and stuff. Dude, it was extra. It was extra.
If it was acting, all that extra stuff was good. When I was in the media room, I'm like, yo, this guy's out cold.
No.
I think what makes me doubt is
I would have bought it.
He looks at the ref like this.
I would have bought it. Yes, I would have bought it if I hadn't seen him look at the ref on the way down.
Yes.
Like, yo, what the fuck? Where's the penalty?
Yeah.
But the fact that he did that, I again, we can't say for certainty, but I will confidently say everything after that was an acting job, and I don't blame him. To your point, he should have received the second half of his purse. He should have received his win money. He absolutely should have received it. And I'm thinking that he knew he had a chance to get it. And the fact that he didn't, he got screwed. So really hate the game. Just hate the game here, dude. Hate the circumstances.
Yeah.
Just hate the game, period.
We need to start giving disqualifications more often and take points right away. Was it that card or was it the card before? There was a card fairly recent that somebody did something illegal and a point was taken right away. We need to start seeing that more. DQs, points taken right away. These guys know the rules.
Yep. bro. And just to bring it up, you even have you even had Derek Lewis in an interview with Mike Bond right last week. Did you catch where he told Mike, yeah, I hit so and so in the balls one time, or with a low blow on a knee. He did it on purpose because he even said, I know they're not going to call it. They're not going to give me a warning. So if they're just going to give me a warning, why wouldn't I just make my opponent weaker by hitting them in the nuts? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but you can watch the interview on MMA Junkie. So yeah, these fighters are hip to it. Like Derek Lewis is proof of that. So
yeah, 100%.
Anyway, man. All right, dude. We're going to wrap up talking about UFC Atlanta. Now we're going to move on to a couple of items. And Danny, ooh, my guy, I am so excited to talk with you about this one. And that is my dude. Say it again?
I'm kind of scared.
You're kind of scared?
I have a bad feeling about this.
Let me go ahead and remind you, Danny, that you and I, we've had a conversation before about my boy, Paddy Pimblett. Maybe you don't remember, and maybe you need a reminder. So, Kamikaze, go ahead and roll the footage for me, please. That's the fight that should be made, is Paddy Pimblett against Michael Chandler. Paddy Pimblett against Michael Chandler. And when he beats Michael Chandler, that's going to catapult him to just outside the top 5.
And who's going to get him in the top 5?
Justin Gaethje.
No, you're crazy.
I said it.
You're crazy. There's
no way
in hell. There's no way in hell.
Justin Gaethje on the decline, bro. Justin Gaethje on the decline. Paddy on the rise. All right, Danny. So there you go. You remember it now. It all came back to you now, right? That conversation we had back in December.
Yeah. That episode didn't age too well for me.
Did not age too well for you. It's been aging great for me, my friend. And so listen, look. This past week, we heard from Justin Gaethje, and we heard from Ali Abdelaziz, Justin Gaethje's manager, where Ali Abdelaziz told Mike Bond that Gaethje, this was to Submission Radio, that Gaethje is considering retirement if he doesn't get his title shot. And then we go ahead and hear from Justin Gaethje a couple days later directly, and he says, quote, I'm not doing shit for the UFC without appropriate appreciation and pay. Now, clearly, he wants a title shot. All right, Danny? But I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to tell you this, because this is where I'm at right now, man. Justin Gaethje is being overly dramatic, and he needs to fight Paddy Pimblett.
I agree. I was one of the ones that was saying, like, how is he in the conversation of fighting for a title? He beat Fasiv, a guy he had already beat, a guy that hadn't fought, I believe, in like a couple of years or something, right? That was coming off a loss, and he beat him in a fight that he took on short notice. And all of a sudden, he's the number one contender, the guy that's supposed to fight for the belt. And meanwhile, and I don't give him his proper credit, and it's true, and I'll eat crow for that.
Coming around, though.
Picking up wins, active. I'm sorry, Justin, but like you can't hang on the things of the past. And like, sure, maybe some fighters get to do that, like a Kamaru Usman, who's won, defended the belt, and was considered or was in the conversation for being the GOAT for 170. No, he needs to do more to deserve his shot, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Now let's address it now, Danny, because you did say on that clip back in December, I said Michael Chandler, he was going to fight him and beat him. He did that. And then you said, who's going to get him in the top 5? I said Justin Gaethje, and immediately you said, no way in hell. You called me crazy. Do you still have that opinion? If they fight, do you still think there's no way in hell that Paddy Pimblett can beat Justin Gaethje? Come on, Simon, man.
You can't be both good looking and predict the future. So you have to pick one or the other. So look, no, in all seriousness, I completely underestimated Paddy Pimblett. I did not think that he was gonna rise up to the challenge and be able to beat Michael Chandler, and he did. And not only that, but he looked great and he looked improved. And who's to say he can't do that again to return to a fight and be even better than the previous version? Look, I hadn't seen improvement in Paddy Pimblett since his Cage Warrior game, Cage Warriors time, and then his few fights that he had in his early UFC run. I kind of saw the same Paddy Pimblett, and one of the reasons why we saw the same Paddy Pimblett was also like why these issues kept coming up. Oh, but he beat this guy because he was old. Oh, this guy beat him. Oh, he gassed in this one. He didn't evolve from the last fight he had previously against before Chandler to the Chandler one. He clearly got better, and now I don't really know what's his ceiling. I'm not ready to say that he's going to be champion, but shit, can he fight for a belt and can he beat a Justin Gaethje? I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to
Go
think
ahead.
no, but I can't call you crazy anymore. I
Not
can't.
anymore, man. Top 5 end of the year, dude. Justin Gaethje currently ranked number 3 in the lightweight division. Paddy Pimblett currently ranked number 8. That's the one that gets him to the top 5. I told you back in December, Danny.
You did.
I hope we see this fight in October at in Abu Dhabi at whatever the UFC pay-per-view number is then. That's, I think, where we would see it. And then, man, if we get it there, we're ahead of schedule and he gets that win. Paddy Pimblett, top 5, will be fighting for a title then next year, bro. It's coming up, dude. It's coming, man.
We'll see. We'll see. For the sake of the sport, because we've kind of been in a bit of a lull this first half of 2025. I do hope that does happen, because Ilia Topuria versus, and I'm assuming that Ilia Topuria is going to be Charles Oliveira. Obviously, that's a big if.
Watch out.
If the stars align, man, that fight would be huge. I actually think the UFC dropped the ball, and I kind of feel crazy because I'm the only one saying it about them not booking that fight for International Fight Week.
Yeah. So, anyways, man, dude, all right. I'm glad we were able to. It all comes back around, dude. And sometimes your words haunt you. And I got to take a victory lap every now and then when I get a chance. It doesn't happen often, bro.
Feel free.
So I have to. All right, Danny. Let's move on. We're gonna talk about one last thing this week. All right, and that's looking ahead to this weekend, where we're in the main event of UFC's debut in Azerbaijan. In Baku, UFC Baku, which is UFC on ABC 9, which, by the way, is a daytime event. It'll be on at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Nobody has to stay up till 2 in the morning to watch this. In the main event of this event, we're going to have Jamahal Hill, who is going to be taking on Khalil Rountree in what is definitely a pivotal fight at light heavyweight. It's a real pivotal fight for both men, specifically Jamahal Hill coming off of a loss against why am I blanking right now, dude? I'm drawing a complete blank against Yuri. Yeah, against Yuri. I was there. UFC 311, and of course Khalil Rountree. He's been off since his title fight loss to Alex Pereira, which was last October, I believe it was in Salt Lake City. So big fight for both guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit you with this one right here, Danny. Jamahal Hill faces an absolute must-win situation against Khalil Rountree.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's talked a big game, and he won the belt under strange circumstances, but his claim was that he was the world's best, and even in defeat, he's always had an excuse. And they could be true, right? But he keeps losing, and then all of a sudden he's at a point where there's just no more excuses, right? Like, people might believe you or not, and there's always a room for doubt there. But if he goes out here and loses, certainly he's not the best in the world. Certainly he is not the guy at 205 pounds. He's a very good fighter, but yeah, all of a sudden that title reign that he had becomes very questionable, obviously, because it came under a lot of different circumstances, injuries, and a bunch of things, and in a very boring fight that ended in a draw as well. So he has to win this thing. He has to win this thing if he dreams of ever being a champion again and being a top draw and not getting ridiculed, because the haters are going to come after him heavy if he loses here. He's got to win this one, man.
I see what you did there. Dreams, sweet dreams. I see what you did. I see what you did there, bro. I see what you did there, and I appreciate it. I want you to know I saw it and I heard it, and I appreciate you. Listen, dude. I'm with you. That's where I'm at with Jamahal Hill, man. I mean, the guy has talked a big game, and I know he has said before, hey, that's just for promotion and this and that. But dude, when you put yourself out there like that, we need results. It was a hell of a fight.
Double-edged sword.
It was a hell of a fight against Yuri. Admittedly, it was, but in the end, you didn't get the job done. You got finished, and that's 2 in a row now that he's been finished. We used to think of 3 fights, 3 losses in a row being like the dreaded number you don't want to reach in the UFC, right? And that's where we are with Jamahal Hill. I do feel bad for him. He won the light heavyweight title, but unfortunately he suffered that knee injury in the pickup basketball game, which is just such a dumb, stupid thing to happen. But dude, this is the one. Like, you're fighting somebody lower in the rankings. Khalil's been off for a while. He's been on the shelf a little bit longer than you. This is the one. Jamal's got to win this one, bro. Yeah, it's got to be, right?
Yeah, full training camp, everything just points that he has to show up in this one.
He's got to, man. He's got to. All right, Danny. Well, the time for overreacting has come to an end, my friend. Dude, Sorry again. I had to go back to December. I had to go back to that Christmas Eve episode.
It's fair. It's fair. If I were in your position, I would have done the same thing and pulled off receipts. Props to you. You were one of the few people that actually called this success of Paddy Pimblett, this late success. I didn't see it coming. You did, so props to you. And yeah, good eye on that one. Somebody
let Paddy know I've been on the hype train. I've been on the train.
Oh, yeah.
I've been leading. I've been choo the whole time.
Yeah, maybe he won't charge you for an interview.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. I appreciate you guys for watching. Danny, again, thank you for being on the show. We'll get you back on real soon. And please, if you're still watching, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And until the next time of ORT, we will see you then. Dana, take us away.
MMA Junkie AI.